Hello, Steve White, Steve RC9. Well, I just saw the first few minutes, listened to the first few minutes of the Khan audio drama, and I'm very disappointed in the direction that this is going in. Basically, they're doing some weird fictional revisionism, um, like they're uncovering some secret colonialism of Captain Kirk or something. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're basically just trying to vilify the Captain Kirk character, and it's really bizarre. I mean, I understand how in the real world there are people who have monuments to them and really weren't good people, and a lot of their history has been sort of hidden and sort of whitewashed to look better. And the idea of going back and exposing these people for who they really were and taking down their monuments and putting up monuments to actual people who didn't, do horrible things is just something that's happening and not a bad thing. I'm fine with it. But the idea of taking a fictional character like Captain Kirk and creating some sort of horrible thing that he's done so it can be exposed to vilify him is just bizarre. So in this story, because, oh God, the story of what happened to Khan between Space Seed and the Wrath of Khan has sort of been told a few times now. I think Greg Cox did. I know he did a sort of explanation for how Khan rose to power without, sort of being made aware to the general population, which I thought was fine. I think that was the first book, and the second book was what happened after he was put on the planet, I think. So I think Greg Cox has covered it, but IDW did a series of comics on Khan's time between Space Seed and Star Trek 2. But Nicholas Meyer had an idea for it. Now, Nicholas Meyer is... he's revered in the Star Trek fandom because he created Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, basically, which is why he's responsible for the downfall of Star Trek, because that is the worst thing that happened to Star Trek. They took Star Trek out of an intelligent science fiction format and turned it into a dumbed-down general, Star Wars sort of format, where it's like, oh, people who didn't get Star Trek, who couldn't handle the science fiction of it, were like, oh, I get it. It's like Star Wars, except in our galaxy and in our future, where basically Khan is like, the baddie, Darth Vader, and the goodies are like, Luke Skywalker and that, and basically they just fight each other in space, and the good guys win, and everyone feels good, and that's the end of the film. So that format is something that now has been forced upon all Star Trek films and most modern Star Trek series, where they have to have a villain, and it's just that. It's just, there's no science fiction, there's nothing thought-provoking or challenging. It's just, oh, bad guy, how do we stop bad guy? Oh, we won. That's what Star Trek storytelling has been reduced to at this point. And Nicholas Meyer started that. So the fact that he had an idea for this show kind of makes sense, because why would you... we've already know what happened to Khan. He went mad and he came after Kirk. It's pretty simple. He was a villain. He was, through a combination of manipulated genetics and nurture, he turned out to be, a horrible, evil villain. And he was marooned on Ceti Alpha 5, and things went badly. And he ended up going after Captain Kirk and failing and being killed. Now, what's happening here is they're trying to make him into the victim, and they're making Captain Kirk into the villain, where supposedly now Captain Kirk knew that Ceti Alpha 6 was unstable and going to explode, and he basically sentenced, Khan and his people to a death sentence and left them there knowing what was going to happen. So we have this Starfleet officer who is sure that this was the case and that Kirk is basically some sort of murderer, and she wants Starfleet to take her back to Ceti Alpha 5 so she can research these logs. Apparently Marla MacGyver was documenting, of course, what was happening, because of course she's a historian, so she was documenting what happened to their people while she was alive on the planet, because she was killed. We have her like petitioning Starfleet and basically saying this, and of course Sulu stands up in defense of Kirk, and I must admit I had the same reaction. I was like yelling back at the screen. I'm like, this is outrageous, how can you say that? But I listened to the first few minutes because they put it on YouTube. I think it's all 9 episodes are available on some platform, but I'm not paying for it. So they put the first episode on YouTube, which they often do to try and get you interested, so then you'll go pay for the rest of it. But I heard a couple of minutes and that's enough. I don't need some weird pseudo revisionism story in a fictional universe where they have to create the secret, the dirty laundry, just to vilify a character that already exists just because he's, a cis white male. So we have to have him be the villain, and the Sikh guy, even though he has to be made now the victim. And it's just this really cliched, woke thing that happens where they basically prove all the chuds, not chugs, chugs are Transformers, chuds, right, by being stereotypical, social justice warriors and trying to vilify all the straight white males just because. And it's just like, wow. So I'm not really surprised that this came out of Nicholas Meyer, but it is because he wrote the story and someone else came in and wrote this actual audio drama. He just wrote the story. Initially it was supposed to be a series and a mini-series and a 3-part event series, and then it got basically cancelled, but then it got revived as an audio drama. Someone else actually writing it just from his idea. So they basically just used elements of his ideas for a series and gave him credit. So yeah, so I heard a bit of that and I was pretty much disgusted, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching this. I just, as much as I hate William Shatner. I've met him in person. He's a horrible person, but Kirk was, a respectable hero, and to have him vilified like this and that just, it's just bizarre. Like I said, if he was a real person, they're exposing things he actually did, then that would be understandable. But to create, a fictional history for this character to make him basically a despicable character, that's just, I just can't. So yeah, won't be watching the rest of this. Not surprised with Nicholas Meyer because he never really liked Star Trek. He never got Star Trek. He sat down, watched every episode, and all he got from it was, oh, that Khan villain was pretty cool. How about what would happen if he came back and came after Kirk? He watched all of Star Trek, and that's the only thing that he sort of picked up on. Like, oh, wouldn't that be cool if this villain came back and attacked Captain Kirk 15 years later? And that was the extent of his contributions to Star Trek. He basically militarized it and turned it into a submarine sort of war story with some generic villain and made it like something Star Wars-esque that the general public could understand, because the general public didn't get Star Trek. That's why it was niche, because only some people were intelligent enough to get it on its different levels. And unfortunately, a lot of people just saw it on a basic, superficial, people in space with ray guns and, sexy alien women, and that's sort of the level they took it at. And they were very bored with Star Trek: The Motion Picture because it was an actual science fiction film with an intellectual component. And yeah, so yeah, not surprised by this, sadly. Disappointed but not surprised. Won't be watching it like Section 31. Won't be listening to it like Section 31. I won't be watching. Yeah, so that's 2 Star Trek projects I won't touch now. So it's just sad to see where Star Trek's on. Star Trek is dead. The old format has been destroyed, and even if they revive it on some level as a niche science fiction story through Skydance, the fact that they are a conservative MAGA organisation, it's basically not going to be remotely progressive, so it's not going to really be Star Trek. So there really is no hope for Star Trek. It is dead. And I had hope for a while that it could be saved by various things happening, someone new coming in, but it's not going to happen. So I just have to mourn it and move on. Yeah, so I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the audio drama. Did you actually listen to more than, I think I listened to 3 minutes. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just not getting on this ride. I'm not doing it. I have no interest in seeing how Captain Kirk is a horrible, like a war criminal or slave trader. They're trying to equate him to something like that. And just creating, just ruining this character just because how dare he be a straight white male hero, and we can't have that. So